Being a Dick is developed by DrPinkCake, and my review encompasses episodes 1 through 8. Being a Dick is a college-themed adult narrative game with branching choices. What I didn't expect was how much is going on in this game. There is a lot, and I will likely not be able to touch upon every single aspect of it. This game is mostly straight male fantasy. Depending on the choices you make, it's pseudo-dating sim, harem game, very like corruption, bondage, threesomes, exhibitionism, but where the game shines is in its relationship building. However, the game is not without its shortcomings, which I will discuss later. For now, let's get into the ratings. First, let's take a look at visuals. Being a Dick is mostly static renders with some animations, mostly during the adult scenes. As you can tell, the game is beautiful. The game is rendered very well and does get better as each episode progresses. So the quality of the renders is good. It's a 3 out of 3 from my scale. And by the way, if you want more info on my scale, please take a look at the pinned video on my channel, and that'll give you some more info as to how my scale works. Next, we look at the consistency of the visuals. So, how consistent are the renders? Since the game already looked good but did noticeably progress over time, the score is a 2.5 out of 3. It's really good, but with that kind of jump in visuals as episodes kind of progress, it's going to get a little bit of a lower score. So overall, the visuals are really well done. That's a 5.5 out of 6. Next is audio. This area is a little bit more difficult to review due to approximately 6 songs that really did kind of set the mood in the game were removed due to the request of the musicians. This does hurt the game a bit, but I do truly expect DrPinkCake to have replacements in as soon as possible. And there's no voice acting from what I can remember, so if there is any in there, it's minimal. So the music is at a 2.5. It would have been a 3, but the loss of those songs does hurt. There's no other way to say it. However, there is still a lot of other music in the game that is done quite well. There are a couple of free use songs that I actually found on YouTube and have listened to on my own. I have never found a song in any of these games that I actually listened to outside of the game, so that says something to the quality of the music. I'm not going to play the music here because I'm still learning a little bit about the copyright and free use music, and I also don't want to spoil it for you. Some of the songs come up at very pivotal moments, and it's just done very, very well. So next on to sound effects. Sound effects add a little depth to the adult scenes. There's, from what's there, it's used very well. And in the game in general, it was good. So sound effects, I give it a 3 out of 3. Now moving on to the story. To me, this is where the game truly shined. The writing and the story are exceptional. Now, they aren't going to win a Pulitzer, but the story was engaging and had me invested in the characters. Even the characters I didn't particularly like. DrPinkCake did a good job to humanize everyone, even if some characters haven't been explored deeper. Sally. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more of certain characters. The story and engagement are a 3 out of 3. They're very well done. The story is great, and how engaging the story is also very well done. Now on to the agency. The agency in the game, how much control do we actually have over the story is kind of hard to review. There's so many moving parts that I can't quite tell how much actual agency we have over the story. That won't really be visible until episode 9 or so, because there's still some storylines that it's hard to tell how much our choices really made a difference along those. But for the most part, it feels like we have a lot of agency over the game. And so, I give that a 3 out of 3 for right now, but that could actually end up getting a lower score if for whatever reasons, in episode 9 and later, a lot of the stories we made during episodes 1 through 8 just didn't make a difference. And so the characters are the best part in this game for me. When I was struggling to decide which path to take at the end, the game is well done. The main characters are deep and have even more room for growth, which I'm actually looking forward to. And then there's some side characters and things like that I'm actually looking forward to exploring as well. And so this was also a 3 out of 3. Story, 12 out of 12, fantastic. Next, moving on to atmosphere. You play the main character, who is a college freshman heading out on his own for the first time, and it feels like that. There are a number of things that the developer did to kind of set the tone and the atmosphere, and one is, in general, when you were in college, you were actually taking tests, you were interacting with teachers, interacting with other students, and it really did make you feel like you were in college. Now, as time goes on, it becomes more about the main character's life than necessarily just its take on the college theme. And because of that, things felt pretty immersive. I kind of viewed this more as a kind of a role play game than necessarily just as a narrative, because there was a lot more going on than just the college aspect. Because of that, there were aspects of the game that was really, really unique. I mean, usually just college-themed games don't get a very high score. They usually will end up with a 1 on my scale because there's so many college-themed games. But because it wasn't just about college and there was a lot of other things going on, it does bump it up to a 2 out of 3. So out of atmosphere, yeah, it's consistent, it's immersive, and how unique it is better than most. And so that's an 8 out of 9. Next is mechanics. And this is where things get a little bit shaky and divisive. There are so many mechanics in this game. Everything from finding kind of magazine-style renders all over the game in kind of a point-and-click adventure game kind of way. And there's also like picture shuffle that can reward renders. There's a triple tile game that rewards renders as well. There's a brawler mini game that actually has a whole other mechanic where you can level your character up, and that actually helps with some in-game interactions. There's a vault mechanic that if you look around the map at different times, you'll get numbers to try to unlock a vault, which will also unlock renders. You can commission 2D art for a character in game if you meet certain requirements from characters. There's also a Rooster app, which is basically social media, even a dating app you can use, which I'm not going to go into, I don't spoil it. There's a relatively large mansion mechanic where you have to repair the mansion before Halloween. There are minigames for taking shots and a lot of other stuff. So now's the time for the main mechanic. This is pretty polarizing, and it's the DIK and chick mechanic. I've played through each of these paths, and there are problems and benefits. If you play through the DIK path, you gain access to many, but not quite all the adult scenes at the expense of relationships in the game. If you play through the chick path, you will maintain relationships with most of the women, but not all, and you also miss out on a lot of the sexual interactions. The neutral path was by far the superior path to go through if you want a bit of everything, but you do have to be calculated in how you approach each decision, which, could get a little tedious if you just don't want to go through that and you want to just play the game. So now let's get this out of the way. I understand naming the paths DIK or chick, but it doesn't really set the best optics. Somehow punishing people for wanting more of an emotional relationship shouldn't necessarily preclude you from being able to take part in some of the other adult scenes. Likewise, having to be a raging psychopath to go down the DIK side felt problematic. It didn't feel like a real person would be doing these sorts of things. And so this is what was relatively atmosphere breaking for me. Now when I played the neutral side, it was a good balance for everything, which is what kind of maintained the atmosphere score. And I get that you are not supposed to achieve everything in one playthrough, and for me, the neutral path was the most satisfying. So there are some mechanics that I really enjoyed, and others that I thought were just tedious. So the fun, repetitive score I'm going to give to average. It's a 2 out of 3. Some of the mini games were fun, and others were tedious. This is just going to depend on your personal preference. And so how important were the mechanics? I mean, these mechanics, if you wanted to get all the renders in the game, and you also wanted to make sure that you went down the different paths, made a huge difference. It was very, very important. And so that gets a 3 out of 3 as far as importance. These mechanics matter. Whether you like them or not is going to be up to you. So how original are the mechanics in this game? And many of the mechanics I've seen before in other games. They've been used before, so it's not, crazy innovative, but it was nice to see so much effort put into the game, to have it stand out. For originality, that's a 2.5 out of 3. So for the mechanics overall, that's a 7.5 out of 9. That might be a little controversial, but for what the game is, it does it well. You just have to decide if these particular mechanics are some things that you actually want to do, and if that sounds fun to you. Lastly, we're going to go to the not safe for work or adult content. And the quality of the adult content is top notch. Whether you are into the particular flavors offered up is up to you, but what is done is good. So 3 out of 3. The amount of content is really dependent on the path taken. You will not be able to access everything in one playthrough, but some paths really vary in how much you gain access to. So the amount is definitely more than average, but depending on the path and the interactions that you do, it's definitely not, I wouldn't say good. So I'd say it's probably a 2.5 out of 3 on that one. And because of that, it does take a minor hit to the score. So Being a Dick is a great game. There's nothing else I can say about it. It's a great game. It gets an excellent score. There's some things that may give you pause. If you don't like the dick or chick mechanic, then you may struggle with the game. If that doesn't bother you, then there is much to enjoy about this game. And I look forward to future episodes coming out to see how it stands up. Let me know your thoughts. This is the first review on the channel, and I thought I'd pick something that may be a little controversial first, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. If you've already played this game, let me know what path you pick. If you are a Josie and Maya path, you got to hit like and subscribe, please. That'll help out the channel. Or Jill, Jill is great too. But all of the paths, as far as all the choices, is for the women I enjoyed. And just let me know your thoughts on this. If you had a difficult time or you disagree with my ratings, please mark it down in the comments. I appreciate you watching, and till next time.